Boy, oh boy, I hope you guys can see me. Here we go again. Another week here at the Hole-Up Project. And I royally screwed this little lens up on this GoPro. So I'm going to have to go get a different screen. Check this out here. I'll pop it off and show it to you. I don't know if you can see that on camera. Look at how bad that is. Holy cow. You can see pretty good now. How about now? Anywho, we are continuing on the saga of the floor pans here. I'm gonna leave this lens off for right now. And if it sounds like I'm talking funny, it's because I got Invisalign yellow last night. Haven't quite gotten used to it. It's kind of stupid. But anyway, we left off with this pan here. And my advice to any of you with a 61 Cadillac that want a real easy, quick access way to do an oil change, just put like a little trap door down here, and there you go. There's your filter. You can check your ground, make sure it's good. Your training lines over here. Get easy access to those guys. And yeah. So I think the game plan here, I didn't want to fully set this pan in place quite yet. I mean, it's in place, but I'm thinking it might be easier to make this piece here if I can pull this little pan in and out as we go, you know, cutting this and whatnot. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit here, and we're probably going to just grab a little piece and probably cut it along this top side. I kind of cleaned that up, and that's still pretty decent steel up there. We'll probably come down, we'll come over here, and we might come down like right around in here somewhere. I don't know, that's pretty good there really still too, but this bottom part here is in trouble. So we'll figure out where to cut it, and we'll just make this piece. And then I did a little cleanup on this little bump out right here too, and that's not bad other than this bottom part of it. So we can cut that piece out and then come up here, come along, and hopefully get a good portion of this before this curve as a piece all the way over. I'm trying to do this in as few of pieces as I can, but you know, I don't have an English wheel, so it's making it a little more difficult on me. I can make this shape, but I can't curve it here along with this because of not having an English wheel. So we're gonna do our best and keep working our way along. So I'm gonna get a little piece cut, and we're gonna start fitting up something for this section here. Okay, we got our little piece cut out here. We're just gonna kind of lay it in, follow this edge down right here, and when you get it set right, we've got our curve down here, and we've got our little piece here that needs to be bead rolled, and that should take care of that piece right there. There's a little bit of shaping to it, not a ton, but we're going to transfer that to our piece of sheet metal, cut it out, and then bring it back over here and try to get a little bit of this shape put in it. And then we can see how it lines up here at the bottom when we set this piece in here. We'll see if we need to give this a little bit of a curl down here on the bottom edge. So let's see what we get. Okay, let's see what we got here. Wasn't my best effort on the cut. Fairly poor, if you want me to be honest with you. Give it just a little bit of shape. A little bit more. Might need to throw her in a vise or something here. So that is definitely not bad. We might actually bring that down farther like that. I cut it with a little bit extra, and it doesn't need to be up that high on the tunnel. It doesn't need to be clear up here. So if we kind of eyeball, what is that, like a 1/2 inch or so maybe, take it down, probably down in here somewhere. All right, I'm gonna trim maybe a 1/2 inch off this top edge, and we'll see if that lines up better for us. All right, let's see what that does. Yeah, I like that better. That's better. So we got to get a little bit more shape in it back in this area. That's pretty good. That sits better. Holy shit! Okay, well, after that scare that y'all just got to witness, here's where we're at. I lightly tacked this piece in just here and here, and a couple up here to hold it in place so that we can work a little easier on fitting up this piece, which, setting it up here, I don't know that I really like it. I mean, it fits along the bottom here really good. I'll have to trim down this side here a little bit, and along the top I'll take some off, but otherwise that doesn't fit too bad along the bottom. I meant to get this with it, but I apparently failed in my cutting, which we can try to clean this up a little better and see if that needs to go. I know down here kind of does. It's a little rough. Look at this. Solid. All right, well, I got this piece just sitting here. That's pretty much cut out. We had a little bit of, whoopsies, a little bit of trim work to do on that, and it should be okay. We got just a little bit of a catch right there. Just give her a couple taps with your hand, that'll fix that. We got our bead roll across here, all in there, lined up as best as we could get over here, and it's lined up coming up this side. So we're gonna use our little carbide and just take little bits at a time out of here till we get our piece fit in here just how we want it, and we will probably go ahead and tack that in place. We are gonna have to fix the bottom part of this, probably cut it up here. That's good solid steel there, so we'll give her a nip across here, or we'll do it up farther and line it up with what we have to take out of this, and maybe we'll use one solid piece here and just bead roll this end and weld it into this piece. Again, this isn't ideally how I wanted to do it, but we don't have a whole lot of options. Well, hey, look at that. She's coming along. It's not bad at all. I don't know if I can get this magnet off of here without knocking the whole thing off, but it doesn't need to be there. I just had it there for you know, so I can hold on to it and not drop it down down the death hole. But I believe if I can get a little tack here, maybe might raise that up a little bit. There we go. If I can get a little tack on that right down here in the bottom corner, I can get this side tacked in good. And then I can shape this top part back a little bit to get it, you know, fit up a little better than what it is. So, without further ado, let me grab the old welding wand here. And I should probably throw on a glove. See if I got enough skill to pull this off here. Pull on this a little bit here. Whoopsie. Get that bottom in there. And then I can work on getting that piece. She might have moved just a tickle on me. Let me see if I can get... Oh, where'd my little flathead? There she is. Get a little flathead in here. And just give her a... gently. There's one little corner of this up here that I should have probably trimmed just a little bit. I'm not worried about this gap here because this is going to go bye-bye up to about here. So that'll be fine. No worries there. Yeah, I might have to break these tacks back off. See how that's rounded? That's what's holding me up. Let me fix that and we'll put this back in there. All right, that's better. There's a little tiny, and this will be, ooh, that's not what I want to do. That's not what I wanted to do. Well, come on now. All right. I'm going to try to give you guys the reach around here and tap this bottom corner back in place over here. What do we think about that? Does that top corner need to get popped out just the tiniest bit? I mean, it's pretty dang flush. There. That's where I want that thing. All right, I'm gonna put another tack up higher. Whoa. Don't whiz on the electric fence. Well, now I done it. That's okay. I got an access panel right here. Pull her back out. Pushed it through on accident. Yeah, I think that's going to turn out good though. Let me pop this back out here. And we'll put a couple tacks up here on the top side. All right, that looks pretty good. Right there in that corner. See if I can get one up here. My welder's not set up very good. I'm gonna make an adjustment to that. And then we can start to shape this. There's a little tiny bit of a curve in it. You have to weld it left-handed. There we go. Now, can take your little body hammer. And give that just a couple taps. Try not to start the car on fire again. There, that piece is in. Now we can work on shaping it right here and get these two tacked together. And we'll be cooking with a grease fire. All right, I did a little more tacking on that piece, and then I drilled a hole here so I can get this pan tacked to the brace. That way, since these two are one, it'll hold it all down, so I can get that held down in place, and then we can tweak this side. The pan's actually going downward on this side, so we can pull that up for it to meet our edge, but we want to have it tacked to the floor over here. So I'm going to go ahead and tack this to the floor, or to the brace I mean, and then we can work on pulling this side up and get a couple more tacks along this edge up here to get this pan held up in place. And then I believe we're going to continue working down the line. We got a lot of work to do back here, and I've been dreading it for like a year, so we're just going to dive in. So for starters, we're going to start here. Oh, we'll get this tacked down to the floor. You'll notice I'm wearing a glove for safety. That's warm. Don't touch that. My welder is still not set up very well. I had it adjusted pretty good, and then we did some repairs on Matt's seat bracket. If you haven't seen that video, we just dropped it last week. Reupholstered the seat for a 69 GMC, and that turned out absolutely phenomenal. Go back and check that out. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a small adjustment here. That sounded a little better. There. Good and solid to the floor. Now we can adjust this up into place. I'm gonna get my 90-degree pick and pull this corner up just a little bit, flush this top side, and we'll get another tack put up there. So let me grab that and we'll get working on this top side. Okay, I put it in here, in this corner, and pulled this pan up a little bit and flushed that. I just kind of pulled it up and bent it just the littlest bit. And get another tack, oh, right here maybe. And we'll get one more here. That's all secure now. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. I like it. I like it a lot. We could probably get one more down here and get these two tacked together. But I think I want to kind of flex this bottom piece back just a little bit. Probably use the body hammer, because it kind of comes in and then starts curving to the back. That's actually probably pretty close, but just this bottom edge I kind of want to tap backwards just a little bit, just to get a little more shape on it. And I think we can probably that settled it back a little bit. There's supposed to be, there's a little bit of a bow in this piece here, and then that top side had to curve back. So we lost a little bit of our bow in here when we pushed that top corner back, but that's okay. Not a big deal. All right, we're gonna start working on a shape for this. And I'm gonna get out the grinder and clean up this top edge and more a little bit down in here to see where we've got good steel. This is obviously all trash. And my little dang, I forgot to put a new lens on this, didn't I? Hopefully it still looks okay. My little sanding pad, my flat disc for my 90 degree took off. You ever had one of those? You stop the angle grinder and it goes pew, takes off on you. I don't know where it went. It came over here somewhere. There it is. Found it. So like I said, we're gonna clean up that steel and we'll get back to it. So I'm wondering, my plan may not work. I just blew a hole right there. I don't know if that, yeah, it probably does need to be there. Trying to think of how we can do this piece. How's this steel up here look? I don't think I cleaned that up very good. Let's see what this looks like. That's not bad. I just don't want to get rid of that. We'd have to build a new one if we ran it straight across in our good steel here. But there's a cover on the transmission back here. I don't know what it is exactly, or unless it's just a bump out. Yeah, it's just part of the case, the transmission case. There's a ledge, and that's why that's there. Okay, well, I think I deciphered a plan, or figured out a plan. I'm just gonna weld this. I'm just gonna fill that. It's just one little pinhole. We'll get rid of the rest of this. I'll fix that and we'll be okay. So I've just got my paper template here with the Sharpie that doesn't work, and we'll make a crease. Is that right? No. I'm trying to make a line there, and then we're just gonna do a rough guess. Using the clean spot that doesn't have a Sharpie mark on it. we'll cut that out. Okay. We'll set this up here. And we'll kind of try to get a little bit of an idea. I just want to meet the flat spot down here. So we're going to have a little bit of a curve at the bottom of this pan that comes all the way across. Then we'll have this bead roll here. But I think that should give us enough material anyway, and we can work from that. Just a rough shape. Well, hopefully that looks a little better. We got a new lens cover on this thing. Should be able to see. Maybe just a tickle better. Anyway, here we go again. Another day, another $1, maybe 50 cents, depending on what you want. We have to cut out this piece quick out of our new sheet metal and start getting that fit up. And I believe, looking at the bottom of this, this has a nice little roll here. We're probably gonna have to run like some sort of radius on it all the way to meet up here and come into this pan. And it's okay if it comes out a little farther and meets the pan here. I might be able to get up in there and shave some of that off from the bottom side once this is all welded in, just for aesthetic purposes anyway. So let's go ahead and get this piece cut and get it shaped in here and start working with that. All right, we cut this and put just a little bit of shape in it just to kind of get it started. And you can kind of see there's still a little bit of a gap there, but the shape isn't too bad. Just to start getting it kind of curving towards, you know, curving to meet the floor here. And then I think if we get a good enough shape in it, we can cut this off along the bottom and won't have to put the radius on it. Let me give that just a little bit more of a tweak and we'll see what we end up with. Okay, that looks pretty good there. Should line up pretty okay. And we can kind of, you know, push this down a little bit. And this is obviously too long. I left it too long on purpose. But just trying to get a general idea here. And that should be not bad. And I'm going to mark also on this side where this bead roll needs to go. Yeah, it's not bad. If I get this cut right, I could maybe try to radius the bottom edge just a little bit, just to get it more of a 90 degree to meet the floor. But that general shape isn't bad at all. I don't mind that one bit. Okay, we did end up putting a 1-inch radius along the bottom edge. Just kind of a trial and error thing since we knew we have extra material. However, you set this guy in here and look at kind of how that bottom edge is lining up. That's not bad. So we might take the material off this top side and save what we did on the bottom instead, because I like that shape and I think we can probably work with that versus bringing it down here. That fits substantially worse, which was kind of expected, but I think if we can use this shape here and just trim this top side out and get this knob cut back out of here so it can set back where it's supposed to, I think we might like that quite a bit. And then we can butt this bottom edge up to our new piece down here when we go to make that. What do you guys think of that idea? All right, well, we got this trimmed up a little bit. Kind of checking fitment. I like this down in this corner here. And this side here, we're gonna end up notching this out. We're gonna cut that back here somewhere so that this comes more down, because this comes in at a different angle than back here. This is more of a sloped, where this was more of a kind of a straight down, or straighter I should say, just because of the way the tunnel curves coming back this way. So this is a longer shape than this. Basically room for the bell housing up in this area, and then down here the tunnel starts to shape back this way. So I think the easiest thing to do would probably be trim this corner out so that this doesn't have the curve, because I can't really have this panel straight here and curved here, if that makes sense, because that's just, you know, the way that it is. All right, folks, well, what do you think of that? I did trim this down just a little bit over here on this side. Oh, I think this light, it's back. It won't last very long though. Trim that down just a little bit, but as you can see, this sorry, brain fart. This lines up perfect with this edge here as far as the level of what floor you're working on, which meets up with this, which, you know, is pretty good. You could butt a piece right into that and have yourself something nice to work with. So I believe that to be a decent little piece. It needs a little bit of shaping still to get it right where you want it. And I think we might be in okay shape. Although this notch I did not do a very good job really with. I'd want it more like that, which throws this off, but we can fix that. We can cut this tab off the side of here and flatten this back out and redo our bead roll over if we need to, or we can throw this piece of metal in the trash and just use the template of it and start over again. But I think we're getting pretty close anyway. It'll look a whole heck of a lot better than what we had to begin with. You reckon? Okay, I think that's gonna work out. As you can see, I put my yellow line up along there, and that appears like it's gonna fit pretty dang good. I like that quite a bit. Quite a bit. I think we're gonna get the grinder out and cut that piece out. Cut on the inside of the yellow line. Well, there she is. She's cut out. Let's go ahead and grab this piece. Shoot, that don't look bad at all. Look at that. Not too shabby. This all lines up the way it's supposed to. I think that'll work out pretty good for us. Got to get my magnets and hold her in place, and by golly, we may just throw a tack on it. Going for tack 1. All right. How about that? Throw one more over here. Look at that. Okay, this light's not helping you guys at all. How about that direction? Not bad. Not bad. Keep in mind this floor is not really where it needs to be. So this is gonna look way off down here. But, you know, we've got plenty of flexibility. I was also gonna mention, if you're wondering what I'm doing here, this strip is going to get cut back a little bit, and then our new floor that will be here will take care of this and butt all this up in there. Sorry, you probably can't see very well. I need to put new lights or new batteries in my other light, but all right. Well, here's kind of what I'm thinking. Just got a little template kind of laid out here, toying around. I think I want to try to get this piece right here because it's kind of flat. There's a bit of a curve on this side, and then it curves upwards at the top here. And then of course it's got a little bit of a curve at the bottom too. This one's going to be a little bit trickier, but I think if we can get a shape and start working on it, this piece here will be mostly flat. And I don't know if we'll get to that on this video or not. This is actually my last week of work for the year. And when you guys are watching this video, I will be off work and on vacation for the rest of the year, which will give me a lot more time down here. That being said, this week somebody lit a hand grenade and threw it in the middle of it, so it's going to be absolute chaos. A lot of overtime probably, and not a ton of time to be down here and editing. So I'm going to work on this piece here, get it cut out of metal, and we're going to start shaping it and see if we can get something close. All right, folks. Well, we did just a little bit of work on this guy, and I would say that looks pretty dang good. We're lined up nicely at the bottom and top, kind of got our curve around the floor. That'll be real fun for that bottom floor pan. We're on our nice metal up there, and I think that's going to be a go. Fits nicely. And you know what they say, if it fits, it ships. So, that being said, let's go ahead. And I did remember to bring a Sharpie down today. Can you believe that? I can't, because I've been forgetting for, I don't know, a week. Go ahead and trace this out. And for the floor piece, it really doesn't matter how much I cut out, because that's going to be all new. And like I said very early on, sorry about the saga of these floor videos, but my lord, the amount of work just to do what we've done is incredible. Props to you sheet metal workers out there that do this every day. Anyway, I said I wanted to build this down to the floor, because I feel like if you had the floor set in place, it'd be harder to cut these sections. I don't know if that's true. I may be making things up. It's possible. I don't really know. But anyway, we're going to cut that piece out now and get this piece fit in there and get it tacked in and see how we look. Okay, well, that's cut in and tacked. Doesn't look too bad at all. Should be decent. So I think where we're gonna go from here, we're gonna try to get a little bit more done here. I'm guessing that, let me get some light over here. Guessing that this piece here continues on And maybe this piece just swoops and lands on the top. Kind of comes down and goes whoop into the top. And this is just, if I could do a piece there. What would you guys think? What if I made a piece basically from here over to connect here, and I cut a slit down the middle of it so this ear of it could come up to lay here, and this piece would swoop down and connect into the pan across here, and then we just have this piece to make. Let's try it with paper and see what it looks like and go from there. Okay, I'm just kind of fooling around here. I've got this edge lined up here. Kind of followed the shape of the floor-ish along there and then cut this open here. So this is all going to be taken care of, this rust hole up here. And then I'll have to make a little whoop-de-doo right here for, I don't know, this pocket of whatever it is. Which I could probably just imprint that with my thumb so I know where it's at. And then trace it out. Something like so. This bottom pan is going to be a tricky one back here in this corner. There's a lot of different shapes and all that are going to go into it. But I think we can make something happen. There, that's better. And what I was thinking of doing was making this pan, here, let me move this back. Make this pan and be able to slide it underneath all of this, and then I can just take a Sharpie and trace all this out on that pan and cut it, and then fingers crossed everything fits. But this is gonna roll up back here in this corner. You can kind of see the shape of the floor starting to come up. So I don't know if maybe I should extend this piece down to get closer to the flat area. That's probably not a terrible idea. Okay, well, this is kind of what I'm after. I just took that paper and kind of made a, there we go, a rough shape, ooh, and split it, which you can see this side's bent a little bit high, and we got to add some curve to this side to get it to match this whoopee over here. But that's kind of what I was thinking, was doing that. And then when I put this floor in, I just have to make this piece along here back until we have good metal, which is like back here. I don't know. What do you guys think of that? Let's give this piece a little more tweak here. Yeah, it needs more. It needs more. I gotta screw around with it. Here, let's come over to the vise. Boy, that lighting looks terrible when I bring the camera out here. Hopefully it's not that bad on your TV set. Lightly clamp it in there. Give it a little tweak. Go more up here. This is kind of how I've been shaping most of this. Just bring her over and give her little tweaks at a time. Let's see what we got. Oh. Oh, that's muy bueno there. That's not terrible. needs a little bit more of a tweak right there. So let me make a mark just to give myself a reference where it needs to bend. You know, it helps when you get back over to the vise to have a reference point where you want to clamp it and make the tweak at. Maybe another one right there. I don't know. It's coming along. I'm going to keep working with it. See how far we can make it here. And then, yeah, wrap this thing up because I got to edit. Well, if I'm being honest, I think we're going to go ahead and just cut this out and work with it from there. I think that's about as good as we're going to do. I did put another 1-inch radius on the bottom of this, but once we get this piece out behind it, I can force this down a little bit and get that bent down. I mean, it's really close to the same elevation as the rest of this, but you know, with nothing on the bottom side, that's the glory, is that you can tweak everything to where you want it to be as you're installing the floor bottom. This is going to be slightly challenging to cut out, but I think we can, with just the littlest bit of luck, we can get it set into place where we want it. And this part here is going to be the worst part, cutting around this curve. Probably have to use the body saw for that. I don't think there's a structure underneath that. We're gonna have to visit that. My brother is calling me. Okay, back to the action. So what I was saying, there's a brace. You can, if you look really close, squint your eyeballs and scoot in closer to the TV, you can see the edge of the brace right here. So it is braced up underneath this all the way, yeah, all the way up over. So this side here, I'm gonna have to be careful not to cut into that brace, and then we might have a couple little spot welds to get rid of. But that's where she gets her rigidity. All right, so I used the little turd cutter here, not to be confused with a woman's thong, to cut this out of here. But you can tell that I didn't cut that very straight. But we can trim that. There's our brace. We got this side. We'll zip this across the top and then hit the floor with the big cutter, and should be in good shape. See how our piece fits up. All right, well, let's see how we did. There might be just the littlest bit of trimming still involved. There's a magnet there. Scoot it down just a tickle. Right about there. And I have another magnet somewhere. There it is. Could put him right there, maybe. Right there. How about that? Nope. Too much metal on them. Oh, shavings, I should say. Too many shavings on them. But anyway, that'll give you the idea. That's not bad. And see how this kind of dropped down. Come on now. These little magnets are great until they're not. And also I still have this to trim out, so it'll fit a little bit different yet. But I just wanted to see so far how we're looking. And it looks pretty good. Beautiful. All right, well, this is actually will sit down in there flush. It just needs to be bent, but I need to tack the top edge of it a little bit first. We'll have the tiniest gap here, but I'll tweak this panel. It needs to actually come up just a little bit, and that'll bring that gap closer. Otherwise, that's not bad. Look at this. What a freaking circus. I mean, we're giving it our all here, but man, don't judge me too harshly at home. There's just no way I could have done that in one panel. And since I'm solid welding it all, you know, it'll be fine. So let's get this tacked in and get this baby wrapped up. All right, there she is, all tacked in. That'll all fill perfectly fine there. This is nice and flush all on the top. We'll have just the tiniest bit of tweaking to do over here, and then this is all mobile still, so we can move this up and down a little bit depending on how we do this bottom section. So that's where we're gonna end this video. Definitely appreciate all you guys for being patient with us on this and enjoying the Caddy build. I know it's been one hell of a process. Oh, let me get out of here. Get up on the, holy cow. Yeah, it's been a process, but it's coming along, and this is like one of the last big pieces of the puzzle. Get this last floor done. All the other ones are done. Get this whole thing cleaned out. Everything all cleaned up. Get this painted. You know, double check everything. And then we got to get carpet ordered. And yeah, go from there. So it's coming. It's coming. So anyway, thanks very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things. And we will see you in the next one.